Please be seated.
So this morning, let us use our imagination and see what Jesus is trying to imply, to share with us this morning. Verse 25 says, large crowd were following him. Just imagine from his furious critique in the person of the religious leaders to the most loyal and adorable transformed prostitutes, to his close disciples, tax gatherers, extreme left and extreme right. These are the kinds of people that were following Jesus Christ. And just imagine that Jesus, as he was walking, stopped. Naalala niyo yung scene sa Forrest Gump when he was running and running and running. And suddenly he stopped. And all the people were just frozen still and just waiting for his word to come out. Na ba yung word ni Forrest Gump? And maybe something like this, when Jesus stopped and breathed deeply for a few seconds and began to face the crowd. And maybe this is what he's trying to say to us as we follow Christ. Just stop and listen. I'm not putting aside the words of the cause of discipleship or being ready or being saltiness. But let's learn from the action of Christ that he stopped, and maybe he's trying to say to us that in our busy schedule, it's good to stop for a while and allow God in our silence to speak to us. And let God speak. Maaring do sa mga crowds na yun, God may have spoken in a way different from each other, but His words may have come to them in a different way also. But it says here, because it's important for us, in our busy schedule to take time to listen. In fact, ito yung first words sa psalm reading natin, di ba? Listen. At ang first word ng deacon every Mass is hear. Or in some translation, listen. In Revelations, makikita natin yung pattern, no? I heard and I saw. I heard and I saw. I heard a loud voice. Sometimes even loud voices we do not hear. Pero pag magkaaway tayo ng asawa, yung silence, nakakarinding silence. Nakakabasag ng eardrum yung silence. And even in Joel, it says there that the Lord uttered His voice to His army. And I just want to read again, not that the deacon did not do his job well, but this time in the Gospel, in the Message translation. And then we'll take time to be silent before God after I read this. One day, when large groups of people were walking along with him, Jesus turned and told them, anyone who comes to me but refuses to let go of father, mother, spouse, children, brothers, sisters, yes, even one's own self, can't be my disciple. Anyone who won't shoulder his own cross and follow behind me can't be my disciple. Is there anyone here who, planning to build a new house, doesn't first sit down and figure the cost so you'll know if you can complete it? If you only get the foundation laid and then run out of money, you're going to look pretty foolish. Everyone passing by will poke fun at you. He started something he couldn't finish. Or can you imagine a king going into battle against another king without first deciding whether it is possible with his 10,000 troops to face the 20,000 troops of the other? And if he decides he can't, won't he send an emissary and work out a truce? Simply put, if you're not willing to take what is dearest to you, whether plans or people, and kiss it goodbye, you can't be my disciple. Excellent, but its salt goes flat. It's useless, good for nothing. Then in the Message translation, he emphasizes the last part. Are you listening to this? Really listening? So let's take time, even in our homes or wherever we are, take time to be silent in a listening stance before our God. Thank you, Lord, for that refreshing silence, short as it is. But it's a reminder for all of us, in our midst of this schedule. And we are reminded by James, be quick to hear, to listen, slow to speak, and slow to anger. Kaso most of the time, baliktad tayo, We are quick to not to listen. Okay? And just a thought about creation. The first act of God on behalf of man is He breathed on man and he became a living being. And sometimes just for those meditators, sometimes or most of the time, just listening to your breath refreshes you. It makes you alive. Sabi nga, he breathed on him and he became alive. So let's also practice that in the midst of silence. Maybe, pag ganun yung isip natin, let's focus on our breath, believing that it is the breath of God giving us life. Siguro prelude na rin para sa Advent, because that's what Advent will. One of the things that we do in Advent is wait, watch, and listen in silence for the coming of our King. Let's all stand.